What's going on, guys? Dan here with the Regular Guy Garage. Video is probably going to be a little bit all over the place in the beginning because I was doing some suspension work and then some other stuff with the taillights and wheels and stuff like that. But then we're going to really get into what I paid as far as finance wise for this car. So I mean, if that's really all you want to see, feel free to skip ahead and get to the spot where I'm sitting in this chair again, and then that'll be where I'm talking about all the funding and stuff. If not, you know, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna be doing some suspension stuff today. Got some wheels, got some lights on the car. So I hope you like the video. Came across a really good deal on a set of wheels the other day. The plan for this car was I was gonna do like a set of 5-star ponies or something like that, like I did on my 86. However, I came across this deal on the Facebook Marketplace and I just could not pass it up. Saved us a ton of money. I'm gonna be able to sink that money in elsewhere now. And the wheels that I ended up getting are, for the price that I paid, I think it was an outstanding deal. All right, guys, so this is how we're gonna be sitting once it's all said and done. I have the jack under here a little bit, so these coilovers are adjustable. They're just a little bit too low right now. So I just kind of jacked up the body just a little bit to show where it's gonna be sitting. It'll actually probably be sitting a little bit higher when I finish up the rest of the suspension on it. But I don't know about you, but to me, this is a big upgrade over these 2016 wheels. I think the fronts might need a little bit shorter spacer, but for now they don't look too bad. They stick out just a little bit. I mean, not a lot. Once I get the engine in it, I mean, maybe it'll kind of bring it down and in. But if anything, that is a super easy fix, just to get a little bit shorter spacer. Not a huge deal at all, but anyway, guys, I'm gonna go meet up this guy to get the rest of the suspension parts, and then I'll go ahead and start pulling these coilovers out, get those, get the stock setup type suspension in, and then we'll see how it really sits. All right, guys, so just getting back from picking up the suspension parts. So we got 2 sets of struts and then all 4 springs. One good thing about going to pick up parts from people is sometimes they always have parts that you also need, but they just haven't advertised or you haven't seen yet. So I don't know if you guys have seen, but the car has very ugly like LED taillights. They had a pretty much good set of LX taillights. It's got a very, very, very small crack right up here. Not really concerned with it because as soon as you close the hatch, you're not going to see that. I'm kind of budget putting this together, but I'm also kind of being smart about it. I'm not just buying junk that's budget. I'm right now, for some reason, just finding a lot of good deals. I mean, I should honestly go play the lottery because I haven't found either deals this good. I haven't found deals this good for parts this good in, I think forever. So anyway, let me finish taking everything out and then I'll get knocking on the suspension. So this part is always interesting as hell. I'm gonna try and push the lower control arm down so I can shove the spring up into the spring perch. Sometimes I get it, sometimes it flies out. Got the rear shocks in and the rear springs. These are Sportline springs. I think they're a little bit lower than most springs. I got this side on, gonna go ahead and do the other side really quick, put the tires back on, and then we'll see how it sits. Now it looks like a Foxbody should. All right guys, so I just got back from picking up some parts and selling some other parts. Got myself a camshaft. Oop, almost dropped it out of the box. That would have been great. And still waiting on some other parts for the car, but we're slowly getting there. I mean, I'm trying to be as budget as I possibly can, trying to find secondhand parts or new parts that other people bought and then decided to go a different route, which is how I came across this camshaft. So I went with the Ford Racing F303 camshaft. I really like this camshaft because it has a pretty healthy sounding idle. Here's the cam card right here for those who want to pause and take a look at it. So it's a pretty healthy sounding cam, and this one's brand new. A guy had bought it and he ended up building a completely different motor. He planned on using this for a turbocharged setup, and he ended up not doing a turbocharger. So I kind of swooped in and got it for much cheaper than I would have bought it for brand new, and in the end, I bought a brand new cam. So now that I'm showing you which cam I have, the cat's kind of out of the bag. What I'm gonna go into is the setup that I'm actually gonna be building for this car. Not that one, no, that one. I'm not good at this yet. Anyway, what I'm actually building is a 331 stroker. I went down to the engine shop. I was telling the guy at first, hey, I wanna just build this thing kind of budget. You know, I'm gonna reuse this nonsense. And then I got to thinking about it, and this stuff is just not really worth cleaning up, putting the money to, putting back on the car, especially now that I'm contemplating keeping this thing. So he's going to, I ordered all the parts. They'll be here, I mean, who knows when with everything going on, hopefully next week. He's already cleaned up the block, and then they're gonna get on the machine work, so it's gonna get board 30 over. Needs to have the lower portions of the block. There's some reliefs that need to be cut in them in order to make room for the connecting rod, since it's got gonna have a longer stroke. And then once I get all that stuff back, now that I got the cam, I'm also sourcing an intake and a throttle body. Aside from that, all I need is some injectors, fuel system stuff, and the stuff to do the mass air. But either way, I can get started building the engine. So weather's pretty nice today. So what quick thing I'm gonna be doing is getting rid of these ugly taillights that are on the car. I was never really a fan of these taillights. They are LEDs. I'm kind of hoping that when I pull them off, they're not gonna have all the wiring, you know, like all the sockets and stuff cut off, but I'm expecting it. So might have to try and source it. It's actually okay, because I know someone who I bought the taillights off of, he probably has those. Actually, I know he definitely has those sitting in the car, that the lights, the donor car, the lights came off, so I'll probably just go back, you know, buy them off and cut it off or whatever. Here's something you don't see every day on Foxbodies out there. The hatch goes up, which I don't understand, because these things are not that expensive and they're super easy to change, but everyone just likes to have the hatch fall on their head, I guess. Anyway, gonna get going on pulling this out. Relatively straightforward. This stuff will come out, a couple screws, these will pop off, and then I'll be able to get to the screws and pull these out. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna go over all the numbers as far as price for the car, parts and stuff that I'd bought for it, parts that I'd sold for it, where I'm at financially is with building this Foxbody. All right, guys, so I'll start off with the car. This car right here cost me $3,000 as I bought it, which is relatively cheap for a running, driving Foxbody with the mods that it had. So it was original 5.0 car. It was a GT, granted now it has LX bumpers on it. It has a great interior, which those things can get really expensive really quick. So I think that was one of the reasons why I thought it was really worth the price that I paid for it. Also, as you can see, it's got the 5-lug conversion, another big modification that a lot of people like to do that costs a decent amount of money. So we got $3,000 for the car. And then let's get into the parts that I bought. So far, I purchased, as you saw, and this is all stuff that you guys have already seen, the F303 camshaft. It's a brand new camshaft. I paid $180 for it. I bought it off a guy who bought it for a car and didn't want it. These wheels and tires, I got all 4 wheels and tires for $400. So again, bought them secondhand off a guy who had them on a 94 Cobra drag car. Engine blew on it. He's looking to free up some money. So, you know, he sold them for a relatively good price. The suspension parts, I spent $100 on those, front and rear, which I thought was a great price. Let's see what else. The LX taillights that I bought, which are already on, bought those for 50 bucks. And then the steering rack. The steering rack that I ended up buying was, between the steering rack and the, what's it called? The tie rods and stuff, about $100 total for that. All right, so that brings my total for parts bought to $830. And the car doesn't look much different, as you can see. But the good thing is, I sold a pretty good amount of parts too. So the parts that I sold were the E303 camshaft that was in it. I got $100 for that. The S550 wheels that were on it, I got $400 for those. The LED taillights that were on the car, sold those, another $100 for those. And then I got the suspension parts sold for $100. So that brings our total of parts sold to $700. So in total, the price of the car, $3 grand, price of the parts that I bought, $830, price of the parts that I sold, $700. I'm in the car for $3,130 so far. I mean, if you take the car out of it, I've spent $130 to get the car, you know, to the way it is right now. Now, obviously, the price of the project is gonna go up over time because there's a lot more stuff that I have to do. The engine is at the machine shop. I mean, aside from that, the rotating assembly for the 331 stroker, I'm about to order that, so that's gonna be, you know, a good chunk. Anyway, guys, that's where we're at. Thanks for watching the video. If you're new, be sure to subscribe, follow us along on the build. Should be a pretty fun ride. If you don't follow me on Instagram, @RegularGuyGarage, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.